I am excited to have Mike from FoolProof joining us. Mike, I think you and I now have known each other, and you've been working with FoolProof and in Pennsylvania now for many years, and it's fantastic to have you back. You've done one or two of these webinars for us in the past, but we have a lot of new faces, and you guys have some great new material. So I'm going to ask you to go ahead and share your screen. You should be able to boot me off, I think, and we will get Mike's screen here pulled up in just a second. Outstanding, yes. Mike, I'm trying to remember, what do you think was the first year that you came to a Governor's Institute in Pennsylvania? Because I think that was the first time that
Oh, it has to be 10 years ago.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking, if not even more. So
I think, yeah, it could even be more. I mean, I retired from the classroom in August of 2017. So it had to be probably around the 2000s, maybe 205. It was a while ago.
it's been a while. So but it's great to have you with us. For those who've never interacted with Mike, he's fantastic. He's a former educator himself that taught this content just above just north of here, across the state line in New York. He's now coming to us. I question his long sleeve shirt because he's coming to us from zooming into us from Florida today, but it's chilly there at 75. So
205. It's a little chilly. Yeah, yeah. I've become soft.
well, thank you, Mike. I'm turning things over to you. And for our participants, if you have any questions, feel free to put those in the chat or in the Q&A. I'm going to go off monitor here so you can focus on Mike, but I will be keeping an eye on those, and we'll unmute myself if necessary to help facilitate those. But let's show Mike a great Pennsylvania welcome. So thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Hillary. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I know it's hard after school to run to, a webinar after a full day in school. So like Hillary said, I'm Mike Sheffer. I'm the Director of Education for the FoolProof Foundation. I'm one of the original founders. FoolProof has been in this space for over 20 years. We were the first online digital curriculum. And it's kind of a funny story how it all started, but I was just a high school teacher, taught personal finance in Corning, New York, Ithaca, New York for over 32 years. And I met a consumer advocate named Ramar Sutton, who is still with FoolProof at 80 years old. And he was working on kind of a concept of how to interact with high school kids about scams against youth. And at the time, it was the phishing scam, the Nigerian scam, and they're the same scams. They just changed names. So I started writing curriculum for them, and we decided that we could do something, I think, worthwhile. So I was the first FoolProof teacher. I started in my classroom. We had one school, one teacher, a couple of modules. FoolProof has now grown into a international foundation. We have over 1.1 million users of FoolProof. We're over 25,000 educators in 11,000 plus schools and community groups. We'll talk about everything involved in FoolProof, but we are 100% free. There's no catch to it. There's no advertising on FoolProof. We don't take any monies from anyone who has gained financial growth through scams against people, unlawful fees, all the things that I'm trying to be politically correct here. You kind of know who everybody is in that realm. FoolProof does everything around the world with 10 employees. I am the lead trainer of all teachers of FoolProof. I travel, I do webinars. I would say probably by the end of this year, I'll be on the road 100 days. And, I'm just a teacher trying to, educate teachers on how to use a FoolProof platform and different things. So today's webinar will be kind of very quick. I'm going to take you through FoolProof and the PowerPoint real quick, and then we're going to go to a live version of FoolProof so you can see it. And then, of course, to get the curriculum for FoolProof, you have to register. I'll show you how to register. And the only reason that we don't leave it open, because it is free, we don't do anything with your email address. We only ask for your school email address, because we don't want the students to the back end of the FoolProof, because we have the full testing package in there as well. So FoolProof is, it's not clicking, hang on a minute. There it is. So FoolProof, this is my information. This is my email address. Anybody that sees me live or does a webinar with me, you get my cell phone number. So if you have any questions on FoolProof, and I sent this whole presentation to Hillary so she can send it out to you, or we can, again, this is recorded, but you can reach out to me directly and say, hey, Mike, I saw you in Pennsylvania webinar, and I have a question about this. You don't need to go to support. Inside of 24 hours, I'll answer you. I'll get to you. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Facebook, of course, but a lot of people just follow what we do on LinkedIn and the places that we are and different things. I mean, you'll be able to see how many times I'm on the road. I want to go back to what Hillary said. It's almost like she looked at my presentation. I'm probably the only director of education for foundation for a curriculum for financial empowerment that talks about other people's information before mine. I believe in diversity of curriculum. FoolProof's really good at what we do. We hope you use it. We're going to teach you about critical thinking, healthy skepticism. So I want you to vet FoolProof first. Never put anything in your classroom you haven't done a deep dive in. But I know as a former educator, I like diversity of curriculum. It's very important that my students get the best what's out there. So I know you're using all different things. These are the things are my go-tos that I have vetted, that I have actually used in my classroom prior to retirement, but also now stay in constant contact with these resources to be able to provide the best information for your students. So we have a full Pennsylvania website. We're going to deal with FoolProof in a bit. We also have something for young adults, which is FoolProof Solo. Once they age out of high school, we'll talk about that. Everybody's heard about Next Gen. If you haven't, your head's been in the sand. Tim and I are great friends. Yaneli's book is fantastic, by the way. I saw that. Next Gen is the leader in personal finance curriculum and instruction in the United States. Between FoolProof and Next Gen, we have over 100,000 teachers. So if I have 25,000, you know how big they are. It's a great organization. You can pick and choose everything you do. And a lot of my summer programs that use FoolProof, I pull all their arcade games for the kids to use on personal finance. So do a deep dive into Next Gen if you haven't. Troutwood's a Pennsylvania company. Troutwood's, as you notice, is the only .com on there. We're very, very fortunate, and the press release comes out at the end of the month, that Troutwood and FoolProof have agreed into a shared resources contract, which means that I can offer Troutwood on FoolProof 100% free to all of our schools and community groups. Troutwood believes that every student should graduate with a financial plan. Financial literacy is more than a letter grade. Their tech is unbelievable. Their games, their tech, how they engage the students. I do a lot of student presentations, and I use the buy, sell, hold game with the students. We build a plan before I leave, and Finulator. Troutwood is 100% free, advertising free, and conflict free, which means they don't sell a fund. No one's doing what they're doing. It is amazing. I have used it in my middle school program with career exploration. I think it's a fantastic resource. You can't sleep on Troutwood. You'll be able to access Troutwood from FoolProof Pennsylvania in the back end of FoolProof November 1st. So it's a one-stop shop for you. Understanding FAFSA. FAFSA's changing. Everybody knows it. All your students are talking about it. I'm sure there's going to be parent night, college nights in your school. Understanding FAFSA, when it rolls out on December 1st, all the updates will be in that website. sign up for the website, sign up for the emails. You'll be amazed how much information is on there that you don't have to look up. It is that good. Advertising free, conflict free. And I like collegemoneymatters.org. This was created by a former Wall Street broker. She has decided that student loan debt, if we don't control student loan debt, people can't create wealth. They can't invest their money because it's all tied up into debt. She came up with an unbelievable website. I think you should check it out. Hillary's going to give this presentation to all of you. For FoolProof, and we're going to go live here in a minute, you can access FoolProof right away at foolproofpennsylvania.org. Everything runs through FoolProof Pennsylvania in the state of Pennsylvania. It's really Foolproof Me, which is a national site, but I like to specify things in Pennsylvania. So when your new standards come out, we will have something on the back end of Foolproof Pennsylvania so you can see them. You can see how Foolproof aligns to them, and we'll talk about that going forward. When I bring up Foolproof Pennsylvania later in the presentation, I'm going to really talk about, don't sleep on this website. There's so much information there that you can use with your students that's not the curriculum. It's amazing how much information is there. All right. You can register while I'm talking. I actually kind of think you should. And here's why. We're going to vet you. Inside of 24 hours, you'll get an email from FoolProof with your username and password. We have to make sure you're a teacher. We have to make sure you're a community group leader. We have to make sure you're not a student, because they'll get all, as I said, all the exams and everything else. All you do is go to foolproofpennsylvania.org. You click on login in the top right-hand corner, click on teacher login, first time user, fill out the registration form. Inside of 24 hours, you get your username and password. If you fill out the registration and you don't receive it tomorrow, probably tomorrow morning, please check your spam. For some other reason, you reach right out to me. You text me and I'll get you one. But I want to make sure that you're getting registered as you go, and I'll show you how to do it when we move forward. If you want to do it now, great. Foolproofpennsylvania.org. Upper right-hand corner login. You'll go down to Foolproof Academy, teacher login, first time user, you fill out the form. All right, Foolproof's a little different than everybody else. We're going to teach consumer life skills, just like Hillary said. We're going to talk about how Foolproof is unique. We have been in this over 20 years. Now, there isn't anybody else that I know has a longer staying power than Foolproof as a foundation, working with consumer life skills. So the process is that we are very unique in how we do things, and everything is, of course, free to your school. We're going to teach your students to be a critical thinker, a healthy skeptic, and rely on research when it comes to them and their money decisions. If we can teach everyone to do that, I think we'd have a tremendous amount of financial empowerment in this country. But in reality, the decisions they make now will affect them later. How they go about their decisions is what we're trying to get them to. They have to realize that everyone's trying to separate them from their money. And it's fine. We live in a capitalistic system. I'm okay with that. The reality of it is what decisions they make are going to be very, very important. They have to be a healthy skeptic, and they have to rely on research. So just being a critical thinker, they have to have the ability to analyze information, be aware of their own biases and assumptions, and apply consistent standards when evaluating sources. AI needs to be embraced. That's a whole other topic that Foolproof is very, very in-depth with. The whole idea is that everybody's trying to shape their decisions. They have to be a critical thinker to figure out what's real and what's not. They have to be a healthy skeptic. Remember, when you engage new contact, ideas, or perspectives, you want to think critically about it. So a lot of these kids are going to go out and buy these things they've never bought before using their hard-earned money. They have to go in and with a healthy skepticism. And of course, AI fits into that research part, because what's true and what's not. We have to show our students how to, differentiate between those two things. So everything in Foolproof is going to be use caution, question sellers, rely on research. everything that we do with your students in the modules, everything's going to have them making decisions going through it. We're the only financial literacy group endorsed by the 4 major consumer groups. Of course, we are a national partner with Jumpstart. If you've never been to the national convention at Jumpstart, the one is already done for November. It's already sold out, but you should apply and register for a scholarship for 2024. It is the best resources available for you to learn from. And also you're around all financial literacy educators. So right now, I think there's 350 of them going around the country. Everything is paid for except your transportation. We as vendors provide scholarships and we put them into a big pool. And then of course, all your meals, all your entertainment, everything, rooms are provided by Jumpstart. All right, to get into FoolProof a little bit, everything's web driven, everything's interactive, everything is online, everything's peer-to-peer. By that, I mean, we're talking to your students, not at your students. And how we do that is in small segments of videos. And I didn't put any videos on this. You can go out and look at them yourself. But it's a middle school student talking to a middle school student, high school, college, young adult. We want to talk to them, not at them. It's very important to us. We have closed caption options. We have Spanish options. And we have a special education version for FoolProof for high schools. And I'll show you that. The high school modules, there are 19 of them. They take about anywhere from 45 to 60 minutes. We also have 20 assignments and 15 group activities. Now, you could use FoolProof to meet every requirement in the state of Pennsylvania. 20 weeks in the seat, all the standards are checked off. When you have new standards, we add new material. We'll do that as soon as your new ones come out in January. I don't believe you should do it that way. I believe you should use FoolProof and some of the other supplemental information I gave to you before, the resources, or what you're using now. You're all either veteran teachers or you're starting out to teach, but you're teaching personal finance. You have some things that you use that you like. Please continue to use those. You can go one way or the other. You can use this as a full curriculum, or you can use this as a supplement. The idea that you have to look at is the process is how you can use FoolProof can be used any way you want it. Once you're a FoolProof teacher, you get the keys to the car. Our core modules, we have 8 core modules. That's what we started with FoolProof. Credit, banking, banking, relationship with a financial institution, credit cards, budgeting, savings. So the first 8 modules, the titles on the left are for your students. The titles on the right are for you. You have to understand you're working with high school kids or middle school kids. These are our supplemental modules. We just finished our crypto one. I kind of like the whole process of having them understand cryptocurrency from a critical thinking point of view and a healthy skepticism point of view. You can't put your head in the sand, just like you can't do it with AI. But the whole process is we want to make sure that they have the tools to make good decisions. Our middle school curriculum usually takes 9 weeks. 9 weeks once a day, pretty much is how we did it. They take about 20 to 30 minutes each, covering 20 plus topics, but we put them into 9 modules. We have used middle school all the way down to the 5th grade. If you go to the FoolProof Foundation, you go under press. We did an event with a Washington, D.C. school. It was kind of interesting. Then NBC came in and interviewed the kids and, said how they liked it. And, it was really kind of neat. I enjoyed that. The whole idea is to introduce them to them in money, introduce them to them in the economic system. So we're not doing APR in the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. We'll talk about credit. We'll talk about budgeting. We'll talk about behavioral science and money, but we're not going to get into the real deep topics in personal finance. What I've seen teachers do, which I really like, they do a cross section. They do FoolProof for middle school in the 8th grade, and then they pick and choose some of the high school modules. And that's been kind of fun watching them develop that, because the kids have an interest. They could be at a little bit of higher level, and they want to expose them to those things. And I'm going to show you how to do that. The cool thing about FoolProof is there's evaluations everywhere. We grade all your tests online. Usually if I'm in person, I get a standing ovation for that one. I mean, it's if you don't have to grade your tests, pre and post, everything's done for you. You can track your students' progress. I'll show you how to do that. It's in real time. You can know where your students are in the modules as soon as you click on the class. You can release the modules and tests in the component manager. So if you wanted everyone on the same page, you can set the dates that the modules and the tests are released. We have randomized testing. Each FoolProof module has 150 questions. They only get 16, 18, 20 as their exam. But in the process, if they fail the exam, we want them to retake it. We designed that for cheating. We did, because it used to be in the computer lab and everybody would look on each other's screens. Now, of course, we've decided that yes, it helps with cheating, but it also helps with the idea of we want them to retake the test, review the old test, and then retake the new test. I'm going to show you how to customize your curriculum. When the new standards in Pennsylvania come out, I wrote down the dates for mid-January and different things like that. We will then realign FoolProof to the Pennsylvania standards. And when you set your class up, you click on Pennsylvania. When the student finishes the module and successfully passes the test, the standard is checked off in what we call the passport for the student. So if we're going to align 100%, because we're going to add material to make us align 100%. That's what we do. So when your student leaves it, that's the proof that they've aligned 100% with the curriculum, and that meets the standard. The only thing we can't control is the seat time. Easy to export into your grade books, easy to set up your students. Of course, they're going to forget their passwords. There's an easy reset for that. Here's kind of a cool thing that we have pre and post tests in high school. That I'm going to add them to middle school, but that's probably not going to be till August 1st of 2024. So we embed the pre-test questions in the first 3 to 4 slides, right in the beginning. 1, 2, 3, there's test questions. Nothing has been talked about. We just ask questions that are the topics that are going to go on in the modules. In the 2022-2023 school year, 650,000 plus tests were taken. The average increase of knowledge in and out of module is 34.1%. So they're learning about credit going out the back end. They're learning about budgeting. They're learning about investing. Any topic that's there, they're learning about it. So we know that we have some effective behaviors happening here in this situation. This is something I like to share, just the last one. 450,000 surveys were taken last year when students finish, certain modules. 73% said they'd work on it in their own time. Now, I don't believe it, to be honest. I don't. But I do believe that FoolProof Pennsylvania can be the trusted resource that your students go back to when they leave you, when they actually go out and buy a car or they rent their first apartment. They can always go back to the resource. And that's why we created FoolProof Solo. FoolProof Solo is very similar to high school, but it's about 10 to 12 minutes long, and there's no tests on it. It just gives them that information again really quickly, because we can't force them once they leave us to do a 45-minute module. They're not going to do it. Their whole life is 30 seconds on TikTok. So in retrospect, we don't really want them to get their information from a source that's trying to sell something and or not reputable. We want them to come back to FoolProof Pennsylvania, so that, because they know we're going to tell the truth. We're not bound by anyone's money, and we're not trying to sell anything. So I think that's why that number continues to drive us to have something else for them that's not, like in a high school setting. We got a couple of cool things going on in FoolProof, and then I'm going to take you live. We partnered with Sheila Bear. Sheila Bear is a former FDIC chairperson. She's one of the most influential women in finance. She has written some of the best elementary based financial empowerment books that I've seen. And she has a whole series called Money Tales. She has 8 books. We created at FoolProof a program where your high school students go down in the elementary school and do the read along with Sheila's books. And then you leave classroom copies in the classroom, and or find sponsors to be able to, buy books for kids. It's a great read along from 2nd to 5th grade. I like 4th grade, 3rd grade. We're on our 5th Bright Financial Futures program. I go to Kentucky at the beginning of the month for our 5th one already this year. But Sheila Bear will come into your schools, but she has to be very busy. So, for instance, in Kentucky, she has 7 readings in one day in all these schools. But the whole idea that this is a great way to build your program. It's a great media event as well. So here's Sheila's book, Sheila Bear Money Tales Books. The link was in the chat. I just think it's something to be able to build your program. I was a former business teacher, then department chairperson. We're always trying to keep people's jobs. We're always trying to grow your program. I took a business class in the 9th grade in high school, and I was locked. It totally spoke to me. It kind of saved me, really. I was a college athlete that probably I got into college because of athletics. But in reality, my grade point average went way up because of my business classes, because I enjoyed them. And then turned around and become a business teacher and a director of education for a personal finance foundation. So it definitely shaped my life. If we can encourage these kids to start thinking that way, I do believe it will increase your enrollment in your classes. These are just quick things. I don't want to spend a lot of time on them because I know I want to go live, but I always talk about, with my students, being the boss of their financial life. And I came up with this in the classroom, the 4 W's. Who do you want to be? What do you want to do? Where do you want to do it? When do you want to do it? Those are the 4 W's. But in reality, there's got to be one H. How? So technically, we have them start thinking about the who, what, where, when, and then the how, but you can relate it back to finance. So I came up with these 4 pillars. You got to earn some, save some, spend some, give some. What we have to do is we have to get in the process of letting them know that 2 cannot become 3 here. Because if it does, then you just save some when you can, instead of creating a plan. The plan becomes very, very important. So in reality, I have 3 things that I always preach. I guess I could even say it. Number 1, you got to have a relationship with a financial institution. Hopefully one that charges no fees, one that doesn't, have history of taking advantage of people, but they need a relationship. They can't have pay debit cards. They can't have payday loans. They can't go to a check cashing place. We need your students to have a relationship with a financial institution. Number 2, they have to understand a debt culture. They have to understand that their money is going to work harder for them than they work for their money if it's not involved in debt. And number 3, we need them in a Roth IRA. That's important. You know what a Roth is, and if you don't, I can help you with that. But the process is they're at their lowest tax they'll ever be at. And the Roth IRA is taxed before it goes into the fund. When it comes out, it's tax-free. So there's so many great low-fee Roth IRAs that I think we have to encourage our kids to be in. If we don't get them into it right at, because technically they got to be 18 and they got to have a job. That's the only rules in a Roth. Most can be started at $5 to $50. And I know, and I'm not preaching for Fidelity, but Fidelity is offering $50, the first $50 in their Roths right now for your students. It's a great plan. The process is that we've got to get them to start thinking that way. And we want them to do it before they graduate from college. But if they don't, they have to do it right then, because now we're wasting time. And then we got to tell your story. when you're talking to your kids, tell your story. What's your experience with money? Take the shame out of money mistakes. We've all made them. Tell them the stories. Tell them your fixes. Personal finance is personal, but we have to get rid of the stigma of talking about money. And then I think it's real simple. The decisions your students are going forward in regards to your money will be the key to their financial future. How they make their decisions now will shape them. There's only two ways to create wealth: spend less or make more. It's simple. So we've got to talk about spending, the debt culture. And then, of course, you can talk about how do you make more. It's a work ethic. Show up, keep up, know your value. These are very important for young people to know. They need to be really in tune to 1 and 2, but we have to teach them to know their value because they have to advocate for themselves. And that brings me to Troutwood. Take a look at Troutwood. Really take a look at it. If you want a tutorial on it, we can set that up. I can get Troutwood involved. But the process is there's so many cool things on Troutwood that will engage your students so they can see that they really, really will want to build wealth. And all it takes is a little discipline. It really does. The Roth IRA is the best way to start. All right, I'm going to go live now. And then if you have any questions, you're putting them in the chat. I'm going to switch over now to FoolProof Live. Ooh. Make sure I did that right. Got to share first, sorry. This is FoolProof Pennsylvania. Okay, this is the site for FoolProof for your state. It's just foolproofpennsylvania.org. Remember I talked about this website, how much information is on it? There is a ton of information on this website for you. So the whole idea is that you can kind of go through and look at it. This is not the curriculum, but as I'm scrolling down, you can see how much information is on here. Videos, articles, guides. I mean, it's something that I don't want anyone to pass on. This whole FoolProof Pennsylvania is also in Spanish. So the entire website is in Spanish. All you got to do is click on Espanol. All right, so you go to the top right-hand corner, go to login. You go to FoolProof Academy. We'll talk about solo in a minute. You go to teacher login. Okay, remember we talked about you registering. If you haven't done so already, you come right here and register. And you can do it while I'm talking. I don't care. But if you don't register, you can't get the curriculum. And that's what you want to use with your students. So you just go ahead and fill that out. Once you get your username and password, this is where you type it in. So I'm going to take you on my site, and this will bring you to the back end of FoolProof. Now, we don't send a lot of emails out. I probably send 2 a month. You don't have time to read emails, so I'm not going to send you a whole bunch. The one thing that people, and I'm just saying this because this is what I heard, you get an email a day from NextGen. And I get them too, because NextGen, I look at all their stuff as well. I just can't keep up with it. So I came with the idea that I'm only going to send you a couple emails a month. If it's something's pertinent about what we're doing, we'll post it on a banner here. But this is the back end of FoolProof. This is important that you don't let your students back here. Now, being a digital company, I have a full PD here, right here. Watch overview video. Right about the 8-minute mark, you may need a cup of coffee because you'll start to fall asleep. I mean, it is over 50 minutes long. And it's set in front of a fireplace in upstate New York. And yeah, I look like Mr. Rogers. So I don't know. I don't know if that was the best thing to keep people excited. We have quick start guides for you for everything to set up your class, to set up your curriculum. Of course, we have all these little things on the side, little banner stuff. Troutwood will be here as well. During COVID and everything else, we created FoolProof Anywhere. All this, new banners come in all the time. Again, I want you to vet FoolProof. I want you to go through and I want you to look at it. So you need to go to components. If you're a middle school teacher, this is the entire curriculum right here. You can look at the core messages. You can view the modules, look at the tests. We have teaching guides all the way through, 9 modules. If you're a high school teacher, you go to high school components. You have 19 modules. Look at them all. Take a look. You have activities, assignments, modules, teaching guides. It is a full curriculum with support. Okay. I'm going to show you now, kind of what the process is. So you can decide what you want to use. FoolProof is up to you now. You get the ability to create. So if you go down to the left-hand side and go create a curriculum and you're a high school teacher, you got all these curriculum spots here. You have the 19 modules, the assignments and activities. You put a check mark in the ones you want to use once you review it. So let's say you want to use all the FoolProof modules. You hit check all. And let's say you have 3 personal finance classes. All you do is you could just say PF Fall 2023. That would be your curriculum. So when you pick that curriculum, you're going to have now all 3 classes doing the exact same thing. So it makes it very simple for you to be able to keep track of what's going on. Once you're all done, you just hit save and your curriculum has been created. You can see I do a lot of these, as you can see. All right, now create your class. Now you're gonna create your class just like you would anything else. They'd be separate by period. You're gonna set up a new class, and then you fill out these forms: the class name, the grade. Now remember, you've created your curriculum, and you would click on it. Now remember, I've created a bunch. So there it is for the standards. Pennsylvania will be in here. So when you click on Pennsylvania, it'll go ahead and check off the standards that were met when the students finished the module, successfully passed the test. Here's a cool thing. This is called the class instruction. So let's say you decide you're going to use FoolProof this fall, but you're going to start on, we'll say the 13th of November after you vetted it. You can type out your class instructions every time. And let's say you're going to use it once a week. You could put in your online kind of your assignment sheet for your students. Every time they log into FoolProof, they're going to see it. And I'm going to show you how to edit it as you go through it. Okay, so that's kind of a cool feature. Smartboard class means if you're going to use FoolProof as an interactive textbook and you're going to do the modules with them going on, you click yes. When it comes to their testing, they open up, sign in, and go from there. Most teachers use it individually. Selecting the grading method, you want to go highest grade, because if a student retakes a test and they get a lower grade, you want them to get the higher grade in the process. Auto reset the test. If you're using FoolProof in the classroom, I like no, because when the student fails a test, the test will pop down. You could review the questions they missed with them, and then you go to the student's account and you reset the test form. If you want your students to do it continually, or you're doing it outside the class, when they fail the test, they get a new one, you would check yes. I like to give them 4 attempts, but if they're in my classroom, this is what I do. I give them 2 on their own. After the second one, the third one then becomes, the final test. So I like 4. And I think by the 4th test, they hit the score and everything else. Review the test. Yes, I like that. They get to see it. You can put in your passing grade, all those different things. I'm just going to name this one ABC class, so you can see it when I bring it up. And then I'm going to show you how to go ahead and put the students in who are have IEPs, special education students. And I'll show you how to give them the special education version of FoolProof. So now you just hit submit. The class has been created. It's right here. Now you're not going to have as many as I do. You're going to only have maybe 1 a semester or 2. but this is how you edit it and change it. You can go right over the edit button. And then of course, let's say you're doing FoolProof once a week. So on 11/20, that would be your new FoolProof instruction. I always leave the other one up there because when your students are absent, then you don't have to say, oh, you have to do this. They already know it's there. Okay. So that's that process. Let me show you a demo quick, a live kind of how it looks when they're in your class. So every class has a number. When you create your class, when your students come in for the first day of FoolProof, you just put the class code up on the board. This one is C4B5ZYU. They're going to walk into your class. They're going to go to FoolProof Pennsylvania. They're going to go to login, just like you did. They're going to go to student login, and it's going to say, is this your first time? And it'll, if it's yes, which it is, they'll say, enter your class code. And then if they put the right code in, since I created the class, it's going to say, is Mr. Sheffer your teacher? Yes. Then your students create their own username and password. Then they sign up just like you do. They go to login, student login, username and password, and they're in. That's how easy it is. Let me show you some of the cool things about FoolProof right now. The progress. This is a high school class. The green means that they've finished the module, successfully passed the test. So right away, you know. The 99% means they got 1% left. So you can pull up 35 kids and throw this on a smart board while they're in your classroom, and you know where they are, and you never have to get out of your seat. The green on top, red on the bottom, means that they finished the module but have not successfully passed the test. So you can check your progress of your students at all times in real time. The grading is the cool part. So if you're using FoolProof for high schools, your first grade, Martina's first grade was 40. That's her pre-test score. The 81 is her post-test score. She got 13 out of 16 questions right. There was only 16 questions. See, that's my timer to stop. 41% increase of knowledge in and out of module. This is done in a millisecond, and your class's average is on the bottom. It's done. You know what their scores are. If you want to see their individual scores or where Martina is now, you just click on her name. And this is how you switch Martina from regular to special education. Also, if Martina's in your first period class, but then her schedule changes, she goes to third period, all you do is put this transfer token in, and Martina's information goes to the third period class. If there's two teachers that are using FoolProof in your school and they switch teachers, all you have to do is request a token. Martina's information goes into the other teacher's class. Here's the other thing too. You can see all Martina's test scores, when she took them, how many times she's taken them. And then of course, we'll add this is out of Ohio right now. When Martina, the green means that she's got those done. She still has some to do, but here's their third standard, the informed consumer. Martina has met that, and the check mark is there. There's so much stuff on FoolProof. All I want you to do is go play. I know we're kind of, running down to our end of our time, and I went really fast, but the whole idea is that FoolProof's 100% free, advertising free. And we're going to teach your students to be a critical thinker, rely on research, be a healthy skeptic when it comes to them and their money. FoolProof is a full curriculum. It aligns 100% to Pennsylvania standards. When you change them, anything that needs to be changed, we'll do it. You can use FoolProof as a supplement, or you can use it as a full curriculum. A lot of teachers across the country, and a teacher in Iowa created this. It's called FoolProof Fridays. Every Friday, the students are on FoolProof for the full semester. So you have 19 modules, you got 19 weeks, you put them on FoolProof on a Friday, you do your teaching during the week. FoolProof is the end thing. A lot of teachers tell me it gives them a little break on Friday as well. So if you have any questions on Foolproof, number one, you got to register. I can check my emails right now to see how many of you did. I'll do it when we're done. If you don't register for Foolproof, you can't get to the back end of the curriculum. As simple as that. Number two, if you don't get your username and password inside of 24 hours, check your spam. If not, reach out to me. You have all my information. Vet us before you use us, please. We don't want you to put anything in your classroom that you haven't vetted. I'm teaching your students to be healthy skeptics. I think I should do that with you as well. So in the process, as you evaluate Foolproof, please reach out to me. Let me know what you don't like. And I'm okay with the good. I mean, everybody hears the good most of the time. I want to improve Foolproof. We've been doing this for 20 years, and we feel that we're very good listeners. So you can reach out to me directly, and I can help you with that. Are there any questions?
Mike, I so appreciate the information that you shared. It is, that's a large ask to try and overview a program that has so many different components and so many resources in this short amount of time. So I really appreciate all of the information that you've shared, and I'm excited to see and get feedback from our participants and what they discovered. I also learned some things that I didn't know about. I didn't know about the partnership that you guys had with and the work that you're doing with the excellent books from Sheila Bear. So
Yeah, we're very excited about that. It started 6 months ago. We have already given out over 10,000 books.
that's phenomenal. That's
Yeah.
just
And
phenomenal.
it's mostly Sheila's finding sponsors, and we find the need, and it's been a lot of fun. I love the idea that since Foolproof believes in peer-to-peer,
Mhm.
huge near peer-to-peer mentoring going down into those elementary schools, and I'll be honest, it is a media event. This is the feel good stuff about what we're doing in schools and everything else, because anytime you can work at that, it's I think it's really, really cool. We have high school students going down to middle school using Foolproof for middle school. And then now, of course, we have that resource with Sheila's books. And I could not stretch it any further than fifth grade and middle school. And I was not up for the elementary part of personal finance. So I'm so glad I got to meet Sheila. Sheila is one of the most impressive people I've met, and humble. I don't get tongue tied a lot, Hillary, but when I talk to Sheila Bear, I get a little sweaty. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I
She's
can remember when she was at the FDIC. She's been in some, high-powered positions, and
oh yeah,
always great to
yeah,
see folks that sort of put their money where their mouth is and really dedicate their time. This isn't just a soapbox they get on to,
right.
have a platform. So,
So
uh,
yeah, so reach out if anybody has any questions. You have all my information directly. If you have any questions, I can go in depth individually by email. The nice thing about Foolproof is you can use it any way you want. We give you the keys to the car. I've used that term for 20 years. You now become the driver of Foolproof. It's used in so many different ways. And if you use it in a unique way, we are big sharers of how it's used. I thank you, everybody, if you're still on for teaching. I loved my profession. I do believe we have the easiest teaching job. I'm not saying teaching's easy, but our subject matter is, because it's about them. You need to make this about them. When they walk in the room, tell them to be selfish. And no one tells them that ever. So tell them to be selfish. They can change their lives, and possibly their families' lives, and then their next generation's lives, if they have great financial empowerment skills. I like the word empowerment more than literacy, but I guess we know you're not financially illiterate, but I just want to take the shame out of everything. I think if we can open this up, here's another stat too: 68% of parents would rather talk to their kids about sex and money. That's crazy. I have two kids, a 30 and 27-year-old boy and girl, or man and woman now, I guess. And believe me, they're both finance majors. So what do you think I wanted to talk about? I didn't want to talk about the other stuff. So the whole idea is that we've got to be able to have conversations. And that's why I like the books in the elementary school. I love that we're doing community stuff around the country too, where we're doing GED adult learners, libraries, because Foolproof Solo's given us that ability as well. So
It's phenomenal. I appreciate you, Mike, and the work that you've done, for so many years in this area, and the expertise. And as you mentioned, and I will just reiterate, Mike is true to his word. If there is something that you see there that you think, hey, this could be done better, that's the sort of thing that Mike wants to hear. He's not just saying that. He will put the time and effort into looking at how to make those things better, and is always interested in receiving that type of feedback and enacting that as well. So
thank
uh,
you.
thank you so much to all of you for participating this afternoon, and certainly, Mike, to you for sharing your time and your expertise with our group. As we finish out, just a reminder of those upcoming dates that you guys are welcome to register for, and come and hang out with us a little bit more, either in person or at future webinars.